Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Mandarin session. Hopefully you can all hear and see me well. Oh, I notice there are a few cameras starting to spring into life, which is brilliant. Always really, really good to see. Can you guys give me a little bit of a wave if you can hear me okay just at the moment? I don't want to unmute any microphones. Ah, that looks perfect. That looks perfect. Hi, Hub. Hi, Hub. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So today we are going to be doing our first Mandarin session. It is going to be a little bit more of an introduction session. Very luckily for you, I won't be running it because you would all be learning very wrong things and having a terrible time when you go to China. But you are going to be placed in the hands of our wonderful teacher, who I am going to hand you over to just now. She works with the Confucius Institute at Southampton University. So those of you who are living in the south coast of England, which is a few of you, you can look them up and message them if you're interested in taking up other lessons and things like that. But I shall now hand you over to our teacher for the day. One moment.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Will, for introducing me. Let me put on the PowerPoint very quickly. Can you say the slides? If you got any question, please feel free to tap in at the chat box. We'll be able to check it and answer it. If you can't hear or can't see, put your message there as well so that we will know what's going on. Okay. Yes, I'm from the Confucius Institute at the University of Southampton. So this is how I put my name, A-D-I-E, Zhang. I capitalized every letter of Zhang because we're going to talk about that later. But I'll put in this way. But I'll tell you that Zhang is the family name and A-D-I-E is the first name. But it's not pronounced as A-D or A-D. I can recognize those if you call me that, to be honest. I'm used to it now. But Chinese people will call me A-D. So separate these four letters into two parts. A as its own and D-I-E as another part. So we pronounce it as A-D. So to be honest, my real name is D-I-E, Zhang, because it's a little bit awkward to pronounce that. So I put A there. It's not like something I create as well. It's because in the south of China, we will call people's name by putting A in front of it to make it sounds like we are very close. So let's say in the UK, you would call somebody whose name Catherine as Katie. So in China, Katie might be called as K in the south, not in the north. Okay. So if your name is Sophie, in the south of China, people may call you Fei, or Sophie. That's a little bit weird because we basically put R in front of another one single syllable to call each other. But that only exists in the south. It does not apply to whole China, and I'm from south. Okay, so that's my email address. Feel free to contact me if you've got any questions or want to know anything about us or the Confucius Institute. For the Mandarin Chinese course, there will be 4 sessions, and I think on the email it has been listed which session, what will be talked on each session. For today, we will talk a little bit about phonetics. And if we've got time, we will talk a little bit about the written system, and we will focus on the greetings of Chinese. In China, there is a saying that instead of giving people fish, we teach them how to fish. We teach them do the fishing. So this is why we need to talk about phonetic system today. Basically, if you know it, then you are able to explore Chinese on your own laptop, tablet, or phone. We will introduce a couple of apps for you to learn on yourself as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about myself. We need to put it into full view. So those three weird syllables are Chinese. And after that is Zhang Lao Shi. That's still Chinese, but it's in the letters. And after the colons, this is how people in the UK call me, Miss Zhang. Zhang is my family name, or you can call me Adie. You can call me Adie. So previously I said that my name is Adie Zhang. So you can either call me Adie directly or call me Miss Zhang. So what about Zhang Lao Shi, or those three syllables? I'll let you to think about it, but we will come back to it in 2 to 3 minutes, okay? The Confucius Institute is a partnership between University of Southampton and the Xiamen University, which is a Chinese university in the South China. It's a really, really pretty town, the town called Xiamen. If you've been to China, if you're gonna visit China in the coming autumn, if you ask any Chinese, do you know Xiamen? They will be like, oh, that's the city like a garden. So there are a few pictures for you to have an idea about Xiamen. These two pictures are taken from my office in China. So all the buildings here is the Xiamen University. You may notice that all the buildings have orange kind of color of roof and the gray walls. That is unique characteristic. And this is the last picture I took last year before I came over to UK. So that's the basketball court, and those are the gyms and the stadiums. Okay, so you may notice that I introduced myself by saying, in English you call me Miss Zhang or Adie. In Chinese you call me Zhang Lao Shi, or in the letters you can read Zhang Lao Shi. So here is the question. I'm going to put on pool here. Where is the pool? So I need to end. I'm going to put on a polling here, asking you what is the Lao Shi here? What do you think the Lao Shi here is? 1 second. Oh, I don't really need polling. How about this? Can you please type your answer in the chatting box? What do you think the Lao Shi here is? What do you think? Excellent. Oh, I asked privately how down I am. Okay, lots of you have given me the answer. Yes, that means teacher. Or one of you said that is it like a title, madam? That's right. Okay, the second question is, do you think it applies to a teacher who is a male? One of you said no, 2 of you said yes. One of you said yes with different spelling. This one works with spelling, but that's okay. We'll do it in the chat box. Okay, the answer is, no matter it's a female teacher or a male teacher, we call them 老师. So let's say if this teacher's family name is Li, L-E-E, we call them Li Lao Shi. If this teacher's family name is Thomas, we call him Thomas Lao Shi. So that means according to the name, according to the way you address the teacher, we wouldn't be able to tell if this is a lady or a gentleman, okay? Any questions? I guess no questions. Okay, excellent. Let me talk a bit about myself. So this is a map of China, and you can see that's the red stars are what I know where you might be going in the autumn. Chengdu, the home of panda. Changsha, wow, that's a hot city. Hot food, hot girls, and hot weather. Guangzhou or Shenzhen, amazing. I like those two places. They got great food. Shanghai or Hangzhou, they're very modern. Fuzhou, I'm surprised that you may go to Fuzhou as well. And the green stars, there are a couple of green stars here. Beijing, Hong Kong, and Xiamen. So the green stars are the places I've been to. I was born in a town here, very near to Wuhan, the place where China had the pandemic at the very beginning, in the beginning of this year. And then I went to Beijing for a couple of years for education. And then I moved to Hong Kong for further education. So that's why I know a lot about Guangzhou or Shenzhen and Hong Kong. They got excellent food. And then I moved to Xiamen for the job there. So currently you may notice that Xiamen is a town in the corner of China. It's not far away from Hong Kong or Shanghai, but it's not the first tier city. Like in the UK, you would say London, Cambridge, Manchester, Edinburgh, those are big cities. So correspondingly in China, we would think Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen are the big, massive cities. But Xiamen is the opposite. Xiamen is a little bit like Portsmouth or Brighton. It's a place that people would like to go for holiday. So they have pretty weather, beautiful sea, beautiful beach, good food, and no pollutions at all. Also, there are not much pollution in Hong Kong or Guangzhou as well. If you got any questions, feel free to type in the chatting box. Okay, these are a couple of pictures about Xiamen University. There are 4 campuses. We are in this campus, and that's the main campus, which is an attraction in Xiamen. This is the city tree of Xiamen. We call this tree Phoenix tree. It is because we think the flower of this type of tree is like the coaster of Phoenix, or it's the leaves of the tree is like the feather of the Phoenix. And this picture is in the center of Xiamen. It's very old because we kept those buildings, those old buildings on the boats, because it's a coastal city. So fishing there is really well developed. There are lots of people actually going to the sea with little boats like this and harvest seafood over there. I like this part a lot. This is my plant. I'm not sure if it's still alive or not because I've left it at my flat back in Xiamen and asked my friend to take care of it. But she doesn't visit my flat often, so I don't know if it's still alive or not. Hopefully it will be. This is my niece. She's a joy in my life. She was 5 in this picture. Yeah, she was 5 in this picture. And you can say that she has 2 chopsticks in her mouth. This is when we were having breakfast, and after breakfast she was sitting there putting the 2 chopsticks in her mouth, and I think she was daydreaming. And so I asked her, what are you doing? She ignored me for a second. And can you guess what she is doing? She told me that she is an animal. Now, what kind of animal do you think she is? Do you think she thinks she is? What's walrus? Let me quickly check. Oh, sorry. Some of you got the right answer. Let me see. That's right. She thinks she's an elephant. And I think walrus is also right. So I was really, really surprised. How come you're the elephant? And she said the chopsticks are her teeth. And I was like, okay. She's 6 now, but she speaks Chinese fluently, but she doesn't read or write any Chinese. So we call her illiterate now. Every time she would use WeChat, which is like WhatsApp in the UK, she can find me in the list of friends of her mom's phone, and then find me and the video calling me. But she couldn't read any written Chinese. So every time she would be like, Google, which means aunt, because her father is my brother. So she would be like, Google, can you talk instead of text? I can't read anything. So every time when I'd like to talk to her mom, I text. But if I'd like to talk to her, I have to send her voice message. Okay, so that's all about me. And here is something about the Confucius Institute. We got 2 directors, actually. One of them is Zheng Ruolin, who is from Xiamen University, and the other director is from the University of Southampton. So Professor Zheng Ruolin is in charge of the Confucius Institute mainly. Cici is the secretary, and this is where we are in the university. We are in the Avenue campus in Southampton, and here is our website, and we got a Facebook page. We are currently introducing written Chinese to everybody, the Chinese characters to everybody through the Facebook page. So if you are interested, please look for us. We kind of introduce 1 character every week. So I guess that's a good chance for you to learn some Chinese characters. The left one is the website. The middle one is a WeChat account. If you've got a WeChat, feel free to follow us. But the right one, the CI Facebook, is the one you will be benefit from. You can either search for Southampton CI or scan this. So remember, it is called Southampton CI. Okay, about this course, I know that you are going to China soon, so this is why you are doing this session. But there is other thing you may be interested to know. Actually, Chinese is the most spoken language in the world. I'm not sure if you have seen the TV show called The Big Bang Theory, which is a big hit in China. I'm not sure if it is very popular in the UK. But in that show, basically there were four nerds. One of them is learning Chinese, and the other one is encouraging him to learn it. His argument is once he successfully learned Chinese, he would have 1.4 billion people to annoy, because he's a talkative guy. He kept talking all the time and argue with people all the time. So that's a good thing about learning Chinese. Once you'll be able to talk in Chinese, you will have 1.4 billion people to talk to. And that's a big fun, I think. And I used to think English should be the most spoken language, but actually it's not. Spanish is the second most spoken, whereas English is the most spoken. When speaking of Chinese, here is something you need to know. You may hear people introducing the language Chinese speaking as either 中文 Chinese or 汉语 Mandarin. They are referring to the same thing, but there are slight difference between them. So so we can regard when here. There's a pen. There's a pen. Can I do color? Can I do color? No, I can't. Okay, so 中文 when here can be understood as the written language. So 中文 literally is the written language used by Chinese. So if you have to ask the difference between 中文 and 汉语, we would say 中文 is referring to the written language, whereas the 汉语 literally means Han people's language. 语 means language. So we translate it as Mandarin or Mandarin Chinese because there are other types of Chinese which are like Cantonese that you may be familiar with. Lots of Chinese restaurants in the UK are actually Cantonese Chinese restaurants. They serve Cantonese food. A few of them serving like Sichuan food, which is really spicy. And so Cantonese is 粤语 and there are also other type of languages like Hokkien, which are spoken in Xiamen. I've been living in Xiamen for 3.5 years. I don't understand one single word of Hokkien, but that's fine. I still live and work there quite well because all of us speak Hanyu. All of Chinese speak Hanyu. That's why we say Mandarin is the official language in China. And the other good news is, no matter you are Cantonese speaker, Mandarin speaker, or Hokkien speaker, or Shanghainese, so Shanghainese is kind of a thing now, or Northeastern dialect speaker, there are slightly difference between Mandarin and the Northeast dialect, but they're very close, so we don't count those as a language. Or there are people actually in China speaking Korean as well. So, but all of them speak Mandarin Chinese and they read 中文. They read 中文. And the 中文 can be used to either record Mandarin Chinese or Cantonese Chinese. So it's the same set of written signs, the same set of symbols like those. It's just that one symbol might mean different things in different languages. The good thing is all Chinese speak and read 中文 and Hanyu. Okay, so that's why here we will talk about Mandarin. Any questions? 有问题吗? Oh, I haven't introduced that yet. Okay. Often I will use these 3 sides of phrases in the class. I will try to use them in our sessions as well. There are only 3 phrases, but they have 6 answers because you can either answer positively or negatively. But those 3 phrases already including 2 types of questions used in Chinese. We call those, there are 3 types of questions in Chinese. One of them is this one, blah, 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 ma. So you can say, you can ignore those symbols there. Just focus on the letters. We focus on the letters for now. So the first one, 好了吗? 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 Take a look at the positive answer. The positive answer is 好了. 好了. So you may notice that the difference between question and the positive answer is if there is a ma here. So that's the question type number 1. If you'd like to ask a question expecting an answer is yes or no, we call it yes or no questions. So so you can basically just ask the positive statement and put ma at the end of it. So question, if I'd like to know, are you Sophie? The answer could be, I am Sophie. And let's switch the persons. You are Sophie. So I could ask you, are you Sophie? By asking, you are Sophie, ma? You are Sophie. If I'd like to ask, are you Chinese? So the positive statement should be, you are Chinese, right? So the question would be, you are Chinese, ma? Because I'm expecting the answer should be yes or no. So that's the question type number one. It could be really useful in the future of your language learning life. If you'd like to ask a question, blah, 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 ma. Okay, so yeah, when you answer, if it's positive, repeat the statement before ma. That's the yes answer. If it's no, there are two types, either 没有, 没有, not, or 不, or 不 here. Okay, we'll focus on 不 later. So here, 好了吗 literally means good, done, 吗 done, 吗 So if you're done, you could say 好了 done, 好了 done. If you haven't finished yet, not yet, 没有 没有 Okay, you may need to use this in your future lessons classes in China as well. 好了吗好了 or negative answer 没有 Second question is 对不对对不对 So notice that there is 对 and another 对 here. Between them is a 不 Between them is a 不 And the translation says right or wrong. And the answer is 对 Copy the first part of it. Or the negative answer is 不对 Copy the second part of the question. So that's what we call this type of questions we call we call this type of questions positive negative questions. I list all the answers here and I just say it in the rising tone. 对不对对不对 And the answer would be 对 positive or 不对 negative. Okay, question. What is the 不 or 不 here? What does it mean? What does the 不 here mean? Sorry. What does the 不 here mean? Exactly, that's not. 不 is not. So like Chinese, if you'd like to negate something, just put 不 in front of it, in front of the word. So if I tell you 好, in the first question, 好 itself, not 好了. If I tell you 好 means good. So how would I say not good? Or how would I say bad? Excellent. Wow, you're amazing in language. Yeah, so not bad is 不好 So 对 here means right. 不对 means not right. If I'd like to ask right or not right, or right or wrong, I just ask 对不对对不对 I list all the options and you choose one to answer me. 对不对 Positive answer 对 negative answer 不对 The last one 有问题吗 So the last phrase is the same type of question as the first one. 有问题吗有问题 itself means have question 吗 Have question 吗 which literally means do you have question? Do you have question? So if you do have question, repeat 有 If you don't have a question, 没有 Okay. If you do have a question, feel free to type in the chat box. We will have like about 5 minutes to talk about it. at the end of this session, okay? If I can answer it now very quickly, I will answer it now very quickly. This is China. I guess you know where China is now. Some facts about China. Yeah, that's the thing. If you ask the Chinese students, what does the map of China look like? They will answer you. It looks like a rooster. It looks like a rooster, no difference. Like all the Chinese will say it looks like a rooster. It's just that we don't agree on which part of the map is the head of rooster, which part of the map is the tail of the rooster. There are actually funny arguments online about it, which I didn't know previously. It's in East China, and that's the area of it. It's the third largest country in the world, according to it has 1.4 billion people, probably more than that actually, I think. And it has the second largest economy currently. We don't know what will be like next year. And it has a history of 5,000 years, but lots of Western scholars disagree. They think China has 4,000 years, and the Chinese scholars are like, no, we actually have 7,000 years of history. So let's leave it to scholars. Just remember, all the Chinese are told that we have a history of 5,000 years. This is North China. This is the Northwest China. This is South China. If you are going to Shanghai, this is what you might see in the future. This is very South China. If you are going to Shenzhen or Fuzhou, that's what you would be seeing, or Changsha. And this is Shanghai. Wow. I actually don't really like Shanghai because I think it's so much like London or New York. It's really, really busy, but lots of people like Shanghai. We talked about that earlier. The other thing you might find really funny is that Mandarin Chinese is actually also spoken in Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, like those southeastern countries. They speak local dialect like Cantonese and Hokkien as well, but they also speak Mandarin Chinese as well. Also in Chinatowns, if you've been to Chinatowns in London, Birmingham, Manchester, you'll notice that Mandarin Chinese is used there as well. So that's why if you'd like to emerge in the Mandarin Chinese spoken environment, feel free to explore those Chinatowns in the UK. I like them. I've been thinking about visiting London in the summer as I can't go back to China currently. Okay, greetings in China. I think everybody knows it. Ni hao, ni hao. I was really, really surprised when I first came to the UK, when I walked across the customs. Everybody's shouting at me, ni hao. I was like, I'm sure you know what's the meaning of it. That's really welcoming. And later on, they started shouting at me like, bye-bye, or everything like that. It's really fun. I didn't know that everybody speaks a little bit Chinese now in Europe. There is another thing you need to know. Ni hao means hello, comes with the exclamation points. But you might be taught, or according to some textbooks, you might be taught that ni hao ma means how are you. This is the thing. We say ni hao. We don't really say ni hao ma in China. So if you are in China and if you approach a Chinese and start saying, let's say if you are talking to your colleague and you start the conversation by saying ni hao ma, the colleague immediately will be like, what are you asking? What is the question? What are you asking for? That's because we don't ask ni hao ma as how are you. Instead, we have our own how are you sentences, which function as how are you, but it doesn't mean how are you. So think about this. In the UK, when you ask how are you, do you really asking are you okay? Your answer could be I'm good, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm doing okay. You're not actually telling people how are you doing or what's happening in your life. But if you are a little bit close in, like if you are asking your colleagues who are working with you in the same office, they might be telling you like, I fall asleep, I fell off the stairs in the morning today when I got out of the bus. So they start sharing a bit of their life with you. What do we ask in China? This is a old-fashioned way to ask how are you in Chinese. 吃了吗? Same question mark again. 吗? Okay. So 吃 means eat. 吃了 means have eaten. 吃了吗 literally means have eaten. 吗? So it means have you eaten? Have you had any food? But remember, Chinese people are not really like thinking, have you eaten or not? Even so, lots of times when I was asked by my friends, have you eaten? Even if I'm on my way to having dinner, I'll be like, yeah, I had something. So it's more like, how are you? Yes, I did have some food. Or you can answer like, no, I haven't, but I am on my way to. So Chinese people are not really asking you, have you eaten? Would you like some food? They probably would do that. But that's the way they check with you. Are you doing okay lately? How have you been? Okay. So stop asking. If you go to China, do not use this sentence, 你好吗? 你好吗? Unless this person speaks English, they know 你好吗 is the replacement of how are you. Otherwise, Chinese will give you this look. What are you asking? Okay, they will feel weird. They wouldn't feel offended. That would be fine. They just don't know how to answer that question. Okay, but if you ask them 吃了吗? 吃了吗? Positive answer, repeat the part before 吗? 吃了 Negative answer, 没有 Okay, so no matter you say 吃了 or 没有, that's it. Conversation is done. They wouldn't ask furthermore. But lots of people, like if they are living in a not so well developed area, lots of people there are very friendly. If you actually answer them 没有, like when you are visiting some place for holiday, like a village for holiday, and the owner will approach you asking 吃了吗? And you were like 没有. And they were like, would you like to come over to my house for some food? They would definitely do that. Okay, so that's why every time when I'm asked by people who I just knew or from a conference or from a holiday, if they ask me 吃了吗? Yeah, I did, even though I'm really, really hungry now. Okay, that's a white lie. Okay, the second one is not so old-fashioned. 您去哪儿? 您去哪儿? You go where? You go where? Literally means you go where. So translated as where you going. But don't worry, they are not actually checking on your schedule or trying to stalk you. What they are trying to do is, what are you up to do now? So you could just say, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to a library. I'm going out. I'm going out for a walk. You don't really have to give any details. And you can actually ask back, 您去哪儿? They may start talking a lot, but they may also be like, I'm just going out. Okay, so that's the other sentence function as how are you as well in Chinese. Again, 有问题吗? If you got any question, feel free to type in the chatting box and we will talk about that. Okay, second greeting sentence, goodbye, 再见. 再见, 再见. Quite firm and sounds a little bit harsh to British, I know. 再见, 再见. But we also use bye bye, which is the sound translation of English bye bye. So it's totally fine to say goodbye to your Chinese colleagues, students, friends, bye bye. We actually have symbols to stand for those two sounds. So how do we say hello, which is 你好. 你好. How do we check on people? Are you 吃了吗 Have you eaten? Or 您去哪儿 What are you going? Where are you going? The goodbye word 再见再见 the last greeting phrase, you know, thank you, right? Lots of people say 谢谢 in the Europe. So when I walked across the customs in Amsterdam, lots of officers were shouting at me 谢谢 I was like, thank me for what? Okay, so I guess lots of you know 你好 and 谢谢. So, but your welcome is a little bit different. If we say hello is 你好你好 and goodbye is 再见再见, a conversation like thank you and your welcome is a little bit hard. So it's 谢谢 and 不客气不客气. So here, 不 we have talked about it. It means not, right? 客气 means being really polite, being really grateful. So 不客气 means do not be too polite with me. Okay, I'm really happy to help you out. So that's 不客气. Those are the three greetings, phonetic system. So you may notice that I asked you to focus on the letters only instead of the weird square symbols. Those are the written systems. And we will be focusing on the letters only. But for the 你好 literally means you good, you good. Sorry. This is the most important part. So for the phonetic system, we call it Chinese pinyin, the right part. For the green bit, the written system, we call it Chinese character or 汉字, 汉字. There are limited amount of 汉字. For a well-educated Chinese, we need to know 2,500 characters to 3,005 characters. So that's the much characters I know. But do you know how much Chinese English words do I know? How many English words do you think I might know? I tested this a couple of years ago. I actually know lots of English words. I know around 10,000 English words. But I only know 3,000 Chinese characters. That's because one character can be used in 2 to 3 phrases and sentences, and this represents 3 or more than 3 meanings that are close to each other. But today you need to know this. We call the first letter initials, the second letter finals, and we call little hats or the accents you call the tones, the tones. These are the characters. So in China, this will be what you see. But lots of roads are marked with English now. And these are all the tones, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the initials, all the finals. So for Chinese pinyin, there are 3 parts. Blue is the initials, green is the finals, and red is the tones. There are this amount of initials. Forget about blue, the black parts, you know them. Think about how they are pronounced in English word. That's how they are pronounced in the Chinese word. So B in basketball is B. So it's also B in Chinese. Pork, think about how it's pronounced in pork. So P is pork. So basically the black ones are the same as English. Po, po, mo, fo, the, t, n, l, g, k, k. Okay, so just think about how they are pronounced in English. H is hell, p, p, okay? The orange ones are unique in Chinese. We'll talk about that next time, okay? This one is actually still the same. Letter S is still the same. It's si, like in silk, sold. Si is still the same. Actually, only 9 of them are different. These are the initials. We'll talk about the orange ones next time. These are the finals. The finals are based on these 6, we call basic 6, the 6 vowels. Same as in English. The black ones are the same as in English. So this one is ask. This one is all like orange or This one is ink, e. This one is wood, like wood. But you have to think about the English pronunciation instead of the spelling. So, but those red tools are a little bit different. If you speak German, you would be able to pronounce the U with 2 dots very well. That's Ü, round your mouth, Ü. Or you can pronounce E, then round your mouth, E. That's the only difference between E and Ü. With E, you spread your mouth. With Ü, you round your mouth. And E is the one we pronounce fuck for O. That's the That's the Okay. Lots of you are would like lots of you intend to pronounce letter E as eh or E. No, that's fuck. Okay, so that's the phonetic system. All you need to remember is we borrow the phonetic system from English, from the Western language. It was invented by a great linguistics 100 years ago. He learned in the UK, in France, in the United States. He brought the pinyin to China, and he used these 9 letters to represent 9 different sounds in China. We'll talk about those 9 next time. And for the vowels, only and ü you need to pay attention to. Okay, so the last bit is called the finals. Look at the finals, you may find like, wow, there's so many sounds, but don't worry. So we've talked about the basic ones, o, bug, e, yes, ink, ill, u as in wood, ü, that's the only one I can't find a similar sound in English, okay? But how do you make sure you pronounce it right? Pronounce E first, then round your lips, E, okay? For the compound finals or nasal finals, just pronounce those 2 together. For A and I is I, E, I. And for letter U, A, I, pronounce those 3 together. U, R, E, Y. Okay? And there are a couple of red ones. We can focus on that next time because we're running out of time, right? There are a couple of apps I need you to download and work on it. The first thing is, how do you type Chinese on your phone or your Android service? I guess you will be able to do that quite easily. So find setting, find general, find keyboard, and then switch. For the Android, it's the same. You need to download it and then install it on your phone, okay? But I guess you will be able to figure that out really quickly. This is the app 1 called Chinese Scale. I think they have free trial for a bit, and then at a certain point they will start charging you. But it covers every bit of Chinese, including pinyin and the characters. This is really important. You must download it. It's called platco. I strongly recommend you to download it after this session and try it out. This is basically a Chinese dictionary. You can type in to find the meaning, and you can either look for a sound, a pinyin, or look for a character. So I would like to ask you to try this out. There are a couple of websites. There's one called Mandarin Tools. Try that out. There is another dictionary, ce.linedic. This is the typing. You may need to download the keyboard for Android phones, pinyin.sogo.com. And the scripter, I think, is also a Chinese character learning one. To know more about China, there's a website called thechairmanbao.com. And on TikTok, oh my God, those are in Chinese. Okay, if you got TikTok on your phone, search for a foreigner association. They put really funny videos about the life of foreigners in China. In Chinese, it's a 外国人协会. 外国人 is the funny pronunciation of 外国人, which means foreigners. Yes, you will be called about foreigners in China. Don't feel offended. Okay. What are you going to do before next Monday? First, figure out how to pronounce Chinese numbers 1 to 10 on YouTube. So what you need to do is to type in Chinese numbers 1 to 10 in YouTube, and there will be a song came up, and help yourself be familiar with it. Second, check in platco how number 1 to 10 are written in Chinese. So you can type in English 1, and there should be number 1 come up. Okay, so that's what you need to do. I think that's we are running out of time. If you got any question, oh my God, we overused time. Sorry, everyone. If you got any question, put it here, and we can answer it. If you don't have any further questions, you are feeling free to leave now. For the 10 ground English words, no. Previously, there is an app. So it's a funny app saying that how many English words do you think you know? So you need to check through a couple of words, and then they will estimate how many English words you know. So for English speaker like me, we know around 10,000 English words, 8,000 to 10,000 English words, but most people in Chinese are not very good at English. So if you have any questions or problems on the way while you are on the road doing shopping, who you should approach for help? Those high school students or university students. They are really good at English. Well, they are good enough to communicate. Okay, don't approach those old people or primary school students. They are still struggling. How do I exit? Stop sharing. No, I'll leave this bit on the screen for a second. So if you think you are okay, no more question, feel free to stay or leave. But if you do have question, leave question here. Don't say thank you, say 谢谢.
谢谢蒋老师. Thank you guys for joining today. Remember, on Friday, we have our first session on settling in China. I'll be running this. Again, the joining link is in the document that's been sent out, but I will send a couple of reminder emails as well for that. We'll be looking at doing some group work with that, so we can look at starting to get you guys actually introduced to one another a little bit more as well. So while we're doing the lessons, we can have a bit of a go at that. And for Monday, our next session as well, for Mandarin, don't forget to join in. Again, I'll send out some emails about that. You'll probably be just receiving tons of emails from me over the next few weeks, but hey, that's going to give us something good to keep us busy with. But as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, do just drop us an email. And looking forward to seeing you all again very soon. 谢谢老师。
不客气，再见。
拜拜。
So end the meeting, leave meeting, assign.